So today, this morning, we have Mr. Misael Burgos, this handsome guy here, okay, with us to talk about the Chilean wood industry and forestry industry that's in Chile. Okay, so are you guys excited about this? Yeah? Okay, great. But before I pass the mic over to the handsome guy there, I'm going to do a little background about Mr. Misael, which is also, I think I usually call him Mr. Burgos. I think that's the correct way, right? Okay, so let's talk about a little bit on Mr. Burgos as well as Pacific Forest and Chamchimao. So, some of you actually attended our yesterday sessions that we have Mr. Hidalgo that's also here joining us. Mr. Hidalgo, yesterday you stood in front, today you are at the back as the audience. Great. So, some of you already know what Chamchimao is, but for the benefit who doesn't know what Chamchimao is, so Chamchimao is the Chilean Malaysia Chamber of Commerce, Industry and Service AG. So, for this, they are actually a trade association made up of export and import companies between the Chile and Malaysia, where Pacific Forest, which is also where Mr. Burgos is working, quite busy Mr. Burgos. So Pacific Forest is a company that do export and import lumber companies that have 20 years of experience with the forestry market. So their core business is the exportation of radiata pine in several sizes and quality grade from green sawn lumber to molding, exporting to more than 20 countries around the globe. So without further ado, are you guys ready to hear the sessions? Yes? I think the energy dropped a bit from earlier, So are you guys ready? So let's go!
Thank you. Okay. Well, thank you everyone for coming, for taking the time to come here. Well, today we're going to talk about the Chilean wood industry and the forestry industry. Well, I'm representing not only the company that I work for, but I'm also representing the Chamber of Commerce between Chile and Malaysia. I'm Misael Burgos. I specialize on developing new opportunities within the forestry industry. Professionally speaking, I like to divide my career on three areas, big areas. So first of all, I have a degree on business administration and economics, and I love business, right? I love business and I love international business. And since I love international business, that brought me to Pacific Forest, which is a company that I work for, where I'm the Chief of Business Development Officer. What it means, because that's kind of a new title, right? So it means that I'm in charge of all the developments and take the company from point A to point B in regards to new opportunities, innovation in a corporate level. Also, on the second level, there is my director career, which didn't start that long ago, actually. I'm alumni of the Institute of Directors of Chile, and I have the privilege to be a director and part of the board at CAMCHICAL, which is the Chamber of Commerce between Chile and Malaysia. But I'm also executive director at Pacific Forest, the company that I work for. And on a third level, well, I love to teach, and I'm lucky enough to teach at the university that I studied. I'm teaching now to senior students about innovation and how to manage innovation and how to materialize innovation through processes and through the organization. So I was talking a little bit about CAMCHICAL, and actually we were invited kindly by the Malaysian Timber Council through CAMCHICAL to the Chamber of Commerce. But what do we do and what is our purpose? So what we do is to promote commercial industrial services, investment and cultural development and engage between Chile and Malaysia. Okay, we're a young chamber. We have 14 members, not only with the wood industry, We have members that work in the technology area, that work in the cosmetic area, that also work in chemicals. So we have a lot of diversity. And also, we are managed by 8 directors. We have our president here, the chair of the board. We also have Rodrigo, which is the treasury manager, and also myself as an independent director. Well, since we are going to be talking a little bit about forestry industry, I would like to talk briefly about Pacific Forest. So we're an export and import lumber company. We export from Chile. Basically, well, our core business is radiata pine lumber, mostly in TOL, mill run grade. We export to 20 countries, sort of. Mostly to Vietnam, to Peru, to China and South Korea on different products and different quality grades. We are headquarters in Chile, and I can tell you that on 2022 we exported $20.1 million FOB just on sawn lumber, right? Just on radiata pine sawn lumber. So, if I'm honest with you, while I was doing my research, I really didn't have much expectations about the Malaysian opportunities that we have in terms of exportations. But actually, since I was doing B2B sessions and I was meeting with importers and also with sellers, I realized that actually there is a big opportunity here. And I didn't know, so I'm also excited to share with you the presentation, and I'm excited for you to know a little bit more about us, about Chilean industry, and about us as Pacific Forestry and like Kamchiko. Well, before going in deep about the forestry industry, I would like to show you a little bit of what is the current situation in Chile in terms of macroeconomics, right? So it's no news for anyone that we have been facing a little bit of a struggle in terms of the global economic lately, the past few years, right? Inflation, war, diplomatic issues have been facing the global economy in a negative way. And of course, Chile is not the exception. Here we can see the table searched by the Central Bank of Chile. It was a report, the monetary policy report issued on March 2023, and it specifies the macroeconomic KPIs for Chile. And we can see the comparison between the 2022 and 2023 years, and also we have a forecast towards 2025. As we can see here, if we check on 2023, of course there are negative results, right? But that's not only for Chile, it is for every economy in the world, sadly. But if we keep moving forward, we're gonna see that the projections are positive, right? But if we go in deep and if we see the numbers, even though there are a lot of negative numbers on 2023, there is one item that is not negative, and that's good exports and services exports, right? So that can give you a little bit of insight about how important is the exportation of Chile to the stakeholders around the globe. Well, I always teach my students, if you're gonna show me numbers, it's good that you can compare, right? Because if I show you a number and I can't relativize that number in order to be representative, it doesn't mean anything. So I would like to show you a little bit of the international baseline scenario assumptions, right? If we see this table, which is searched for the Central Bank of Chile too on the same report issued on March 2023, we're gonna see the sort of same results, right? There are negative results in terms of GDP for 2023 or towards, but there is a positive expectations. It's funny to me that humankind have been overtaking the world through adaptation, but us as humans, we are so scared of the adaptation process. We are always avoiding it. If a crisis comes, we panic. We don't know what to do most of the times. But as a humankind, we have been undertaking the world through adaptation. So in my experience, I have learned that the only way to take advantage of opportunities or create new opportunities or also to create value actually is through analyzing, it's through analyzing the trends, analyzing the risks, analyzing what is happening in the world and create new opportunities through it, right? So this is no other than another scenario of opportunities for us, and that's why we are here. That's why I'm here. Actually, we are one of the only companies that are here between us, Pacific Forest, and ILASA, actually, that are Chilean companies offering Chilean products like sawn lumber. And that's because we don't really have a lot of room for exportation, or we thought that we didn't have a lot of room for exportation to Malaysia. As I know, you guys import from New Zealand, Radiata pine, and you also import Southern Yellow pine from other countries like Brazil or Argentina. But I think based on what I have seen lately, there is a lot of opportunities that we can undertake together. So I would like to talk a little bit about some facts in terms of highlights about Chile. So then I can tell you why you should be doing businesses with us. First of all, since the economy has been a little bit complicated lately, the government of Chile has launched the Let's Invest in Chile plan, which is a plan that it's made by 28 actions that are placed in order to increase the investment, not only national investment or private investment, also foreign investment, in order to incentivize the increase by 5% towards the end of the year, towards the end of 2023. And it has 6 big stages, right? That goes to, for example, taxes. It encourages the financial assurance for foreign investments and more so. Also, we have more free trade agreements than any other country in the world. Actually, I will have to correct that slide because we have 65 trade agreements, not 64. And 17 of those free agreements are free trade agreements. In Malaysia, actually, is one of the countries that we are negotiating with, which means that most of the goods that you can import from Chile, you wouldn't have to pay any taxes, and on the other hand, we wouldn't have to pay any taxes if we import any products from, well, not any products. I'm gonna show you after how many actually, but most of them we don't have to pay taxes if we import from Malaysia. So that's a good opportunity because, as I mentioned before, in Malaysia you probably are importing from Brazil, Southern Yellow pine, but you don't have a free trade agreement with Brazil. So maybe the price is better in terms of FOB, but when you import the lumber, you have to add the taxes. So maybe our price is a bit higher, but when you compare the final price that you have to transfer to the final client, well, that's when maybe we are more competitive. Also, we are the first OECD's South American economy. Well, we have a very stable government, we have a very stable economy, and also the decentralization of institutions in Chile help to work on different strategies that basically do the surface for the Chilean economy to be strong. And also there are 2 items there that I'm pretty proud of. We were ranked 50th in the world, right? On the Global Innovation Index for 2022, and actually we are the #1 on the Global Innovation Index for Latin America. And I'm very proud of it because what that means, that means that we are moving forward, right? We are adapting ourselves to the new requirements. We are adapting ourselves, not thinking about 10 years, not thinking about 20 years. We're thinking towards 2050, right? We're thinking towards 2030. So it's very important that an economy that you want to work with is thinking in the future, right? Well, let's talk about exportation. Chile's exportation. Well, you can see here the chart of the exportations from Chile since 2020 to 2022. The total exportations, including copper, go up to 90 $90 million FOB, and without copper they go up to 51 million. And the main macro sectors that are promoted to be exporting are agricultural, forestry, manufacturing, mineral, fishing, and agriculture and services, and also wine. Of course, we're gonna go in depth with forestry, but I want to show you a little bit of how the economy moves in terms of exportations in Chile. Agriculture is very important too. Manufacturing is very important too. As you can see, the increasement between 2021 and 2022 on manufacturing was more than 40%. It was 46%. And we check the forestry industry. The exportation were 6,000 US dollars FOB. And comparing 2021 with 2022, that means 11.7% of increasement. When we talk about the forestry industry, I want to show you a little bit of how much volumes do we move in terms of production, in terms of the different industries that are placed in Chile. So, for example, the industrial rootwood product consumption, which includes wood pulp industry, sawmill industry, and wood panels and veneers industry, it moves more than 43,000 cubic meters. And also the sandwood production, for example, it moves more than 8,000 cubic meters. And why I show you this? Because these are the main products that we can work with. These are the main products that Chilean forestry industry can export, and we have the expertise to work with. In terms of the resources, I also wanted to show you a little bit of what's the scenario in Chile in terms of the forestry resources. So we have a total country area of 70 million hectares. We have a native forest area of 14 million hectares. And also, the forest plantation, which includes radiata pine, eucalyptus in several species, because we don't have only one eucalyptus, right? We have like 3 or 4 eucalyptus that you can work with. Actually, as Pacific Forest, we are exporting to Malaysia eucalyptus regnans, which is one type of eucalyptus that is planted in Chile. And we export it in different kind of products and quality grades. And also the wildlife protected area, it will be 18 million. And well, this is important because I don't know if you know about it, but before the 2000s, there was a lot of explosion and overexplosion of the native forest in Chile, sadly. So now there are a lot of legislation about how to protect it and how to reforest. What are the main products that we are exporting from Chile? Well, pulp, radiata pine AGP, which is edible panels, sawn lumber, of course, and plywood. But to be honest, if you're not Arauco or CMPC, you're not exporting pulp, right? So we're gonna concentrate on the other thing. Because we as small companies, I mean, we're not Arauco, right? So we export a little bit less. And when we talk about sawn lumber, there are so many exporters that you can work with, and they are trustful, and we have so many policies that actually assure the quality of the products. So maybe you will think, okay, Chilean pine is too expensive. Chilean pine is too, maybe the freight cost is too expensive. Well, when you compare the quality, when you compare the protocols, when you compare all the seriousness of the country, well, that's the advantage, right? So, if we go in deep about it, when we are talking about sawn lumber, on 2022, we exported $859 million FOB, which is 6.4 more than 2021. In total, the exportation of lumber was $6,000 million roughly, and that's actually 11% more since I remember comparing 2021 with 2022. The plywood industry is pretty big too in terms of certifications, in terms of production. There are a lot of producers in Chile. Ilas is one of them. You can go to them if you want to buy some plywood. In some lumber, we work, as I mentioned before, with radiata pine in COL grade, mill run grade, industrial grade, pallet, and others too. Where are our main markets? And here's where Malaysia doesn't come up. And I'm like, we should be doing something more, right? We should be doing something more because we have free trade agreements, right? I mean, there is something else that we can do. The other day when I was doing the B2B sessions, I was speaking with the importers, and to be honest, I didn't know that there was so much room. I didn't know that we could export much of radiata pine lumber in the same quality grades that you guys are already working with for furniture, for pallets. So that's a big opportunity for me. I think we can take something from there. So the main markets are China, USA, Mexico, Japan, South Korea. These are based on the exportations, comparing the exportation on 2021 and 2022. But they are different products, right? If we're talking about the USA, we're going to talk about finished products like moldings or panels. If we're talking about Mexico, for example, we're going to talk about sawn lumber, right? If we're talking about South Korea, green lumber, not even kiln dry. So there are different markets, that there are different pricing, there are different volumes. So we can search for any of them, and also I think we can search for you guys. If we check the variation between one year and the other, you're gonna see that most of them are increasing. Only Japan is going down, but just for a little bit. So I think in terms of the exportations from Chile, we have a very solid structure. But I was talking about the opportunities with Malaysia. I was talking that maybe there is more room for us to work together. Thinking of what we can do. So I was looking for information. I was looking for more facts that are placed between Chile and Malaysia. And as I mentioned before, we have a free trade agreement since 2012, and we actually have 10,000 products negotiated, which means that we don't have to pay taxes when we import it from Malaysia, and you guys don't have to pay taxes if you import Chilean products to Malaysia either. We also have more than 90% of the Chilean products are free of importation taxes. We have a double taxation agreement since 2014, and we have an investment guarantee agreement since 1995, and also we have a bilateral payment agreement since 1992. To put it in other words, in 2022, Chile was Malaysia's 60th trading partner, 66th export destination, and 45 importers. And on the other hand, in 2022, Malaysia was Chile's 33rd trading partner, 29th export destination, and 36th importers. So I think we can go up with those numbers. But what is the future of the lumber, and how we can really take these opportunities in the best way? As I was mentioning at the beginning of the presentation, one thing is to have opportunities, right? But the other thing is to think strategically about it. So it's important for us to analyze what is going to happen in the future, what is happening now, what are the requirements for the future, and there actually are many. There are a whole bunch of objectives placed for different countries in order to achieve, for example, or to meet the ESG requirements. I don't know if it was on yesterday or Sunday, there was a presenter talking about the ESG requirements in general. And I think that's very important. It's very important that people know what's happening in terms of ESG, which means basically that we have to meet some sustainability requirement, basically. So we live in an economy, in an economy system that actually promotes the unlimited growth, and also it rewards economic profit within an ecosystem that has limited resources. So if we think about it, we are already late in terms of what we can do about sustainability. So when we talk about it and when we think about it, there is a lot that we can do as part of the forestry industry. There is a lot of the things I was mentioning before. For example, we want to decrease the global warming, and we want to put it down to 1.5 degrees by 2050. Sorry. But in order to do that, we should decrease the CO2 emissions by 45% by 2030. we are already late. Um, this is 2022 is the 11th consecutive year that the CO2 emissions have come up to 2% each year. So if we want to really achieve that goal, which is very complicated at this point, we need to do something. And how can we do something? How can we do something within the industry, right? Well, there comes the CLT construction, the housing construction. I mean, did you know that 1 cubic meter of wood can absorb 1.6 tons of CO2? I mean, if we're talking about it, if we're thinking about it, there is a huge opportunity. I mean, those objectives are already placed. And if we work with it, and if we can source, for example, lumber for construction, and if we get into the business of construction per se, I mean, we have a huge opportunity, but we are doing it with responsibility, right? We are taking this opportunity, but we are doing it with responsibility, going towards the SDG, towards 2050, the Sustainability Development Goals. So I would like to invite you after this expo that if you have any opportunity with us or with any exporters in terms of wood, lumber, or any product in regards to the forestry industry, I would like to invite you to take that opportunity by taking with responsibility and also thinking about it strategically, because there are a lot of opportunities that we can take and there is a lot of projection between all the countries and all the economies that work with forestry. Thank you. Is there any question? No?
Hello? Hello, mic test. Is there any questions from the floor? No? Oh, yes. Sorry.
Hello. Thanks.
Hello.
Very good presentation. Thank you. Talking about forest products, we know that Chile is exporting wood, saw timber. What else are Chile export to the world?
Well, some number. Yeah, for example, it depends on the market. For example, we're talking about Vietnam, right? We export a lot to Vietnam, but we work with COL mostly grade, which means that it's a quality grade that has nuts, but it doesn't allow teeth, for example, or cracks. And you can have 60% of the strip on clear grade. So that's a really good product for furniture. But if we're talking about South Korea, mostly we are talking about green lumber, right? They film dry it and they produce another kind of products. But we also work with plywood, OSB, MDF, and different kind of products. For example, also we work with treated lumber from Chile. It's not CCA because arsenic is prohibited. But we have developed a new technology that actually doesn't require arsenic. So there is a big range of products that we actually can source to the world in terms of the forestry product. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. We have another question here.
Hola.
Hola.
Excelente presentación. Gracias. I have a question about CLT.
Yeah.
Are you guys manufacturing CLT in Chile for local distribution, or you're exporting CLT as well to other countries?
Well, to be honest, at the moment we're not working with CLT. The technology actually is being developed in Chile, but we have a long way to go. But we are looking into, London, for example. They have a neighborhood full of housing with CLT, and that's, I think, where we have to go, right? The CLT is a future, but also is a now too, right? The housing construction with lumber, the CLT construction is gonna be the future, and we are not there yet, but probably we will be in the next few years. I would say like 5-10 years we will be working with CLT and maybe exporting too, because we have a big base of forestry that we can work with and species that we can work with. So yeah, I think we will be very competitive with that.
Thank you, Mr. Burgos. Any other questions from the floor? Okay, I guess that's the questions that we have. But if you are too shy to ask questions in public, you can always go to the tables and chairs that we prepared at the side to have a exclusive sessions with Mr. Burgos later. So once again, thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Burgos, for the very informative presentation earlier. Thank you for the sharing.
Thank you.
Whoa.
Thank you, everyone.
Have a round of applause.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for the time. And okay, so thank you.